My experience in Subhati University was so good. I've enjoyed a lot. I've done so much fun here and I've learned a lot from here.
The experience in Subhati University has been incredibly amazing for me, and hence I would say that Subhati is the best.
It's like a small island or in a city, and you should totally come here if you are pursuing anything.
The experience of Subhati has been always wonderful. यहाँ रहना, यहाँ पे लोगों से बातें करना, टीचर से थोड़ा थोड़ा एक्सपीरियंस लेना और उनकी कभी कभी डांट सुनना.
Welcome you all to guest lecture on Buddhism and Science, where we will try to understand science of mindfulness. I, Dr. Yogesh Kumar, Assistant Professor, Subhati School of Buddhist Studies. Today lecture objective is discovery of inner awareness from a completely new perspective, gaining insight into your mind via real-time brain activity measurement and long-term tracking, and actively promoting mindful way of living. This is our today's tentative schedule of the lecture. This is a brief introduction about Subhati University. This is a brief introduction about Samat Ashok Subhati School of Buddhist Studies. And this is the brief introduction about Tathagat Buddha Chair. Tathagat Buddha Chair was established in 2019 under the specialization guidance of Dr. Shailya, Chief Executive Officer, Swami Vivekananda Subhati University. The chair serving as the center of learning and research not only on the subjects concerning to the Tathagat Buddha and his philosophy, but also on the issues concerning the socio-economic, cultural, religious life, peace, meditation, yoga, and stress. In pursuance of its objective, the chair is undertaking research on the topics related to Tathagat Buddha. The chair, time to time, also organizing teachings, seminars, symposia, workshops, exhibitions, lecture series, and other similar academic activities. Now I invite Bhante sir for chanting.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Iti piso bhagava arahang Sambuddha Vijja Charana Sampan Sugato Lokavidu Anutar Purisa Dhamma Sarati Sata Deva Manusal Buddha Bhagavati Savakhato Bhagavat Dhamma Sandetiko akaliko yahipasiko wapanayiko pachata vedita beyuhiti supatipano bhagavato savakasang ujupatipano bhagavato savakasang yaya patipano bhagavato Savaka Sangha Samichi Patipan Bhagavato Savaka Sangha Yadida Chatari Purisa Yugani Atha Purisa Pugal Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangha Ahunaya Pahunaya Dakhinayi Anjali Karaniya Anutar Puyanket Lokasati Bhavatu sabba mangalang rakhantu sabba devat sabba buddhanubhavena sada sote bhavantu ta bhavatu sabba mangala rakhantu sabba devat sabba dhammanubhavena sada sote bhavantu ta bhavatu sabba mangala Rakhantu sabba devat sabba sanghanubhavena sada soti bhavantu te sadhu sadhu sadhu.
Our today's first speaker is Engineer Alan Hsiao, Director, Bhavana Technology, Taiwan. Alan Hsiao was born in Taiwan and grew up in Canada. He received a honors degree in software engineering from the University of Toronto. Since he has been working as a software specialist for many years, he has played a key role in designing and developing software for international corporations such as Fox TV in Europe, National Geographic channels in the United States, etc. He is also an experienced meditator practicing Vipassana meditation for more than 10 years. Over the years, he has done many retreats in India, Europe, United States, Japan, and Taiwan, and participated in organizing many meditation camps for adults and children. In recent years, he has carried out various researches on the neurosciences of meditation, collaborating with professionals from different fields such as psychology, musicology, etc. In 2019, he founded Bhavana Science Institute, whose mission is to promote the science of meditation and mindful living with the help of neurofeedback applications. Now, I would like to invite Engineer Alan to deliver his lecture. Please, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Vivek, for the introduction and Banaji for chanting. I'm so happy to be invited by the Swati University. And let me share my screen with you. Okay. Okay, today I'm going to talk about the science of mindfulness, how we can interpret the state of mindfulness from the scientific perspective. So first of all, I want to talk about the relationship between the brain and the mind, how they are interconnected, how they are related to each other. So I want you to take a moment to think, to reflect what you do every morning. So when we wake up in the morning, normally our attention goes outward. We can see the lights shine through the window. We can see birds chirping from the outside. And then we go to the washroom and we take a shower, or we just rinse our mouth. And then we start making our breakfast. So all this beautiful fragrance we can smell, and then we can taste the food with our taste bud. And so all these informations, they are coming in through our five sense organs, namely eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the body. So in the recent brainwave study of the neuroscience, so we can see there are different activities corresponding to different respective brain regions. There's a region responsible to process the information coming from the eyes, and it's coming from the ears, the tongue, and also your body. So all this information gets processed from these five different perspectives of the brain regions, and then the brain will start making all these necessary judgments, calculations, and decisions. So, and then we go to work or go to school. So the brain become busy. So it becomes even more active, and we focus on tons of tasks at hand and interact with different people we come across during the day. And then not for long, we find ourselves in a very stressful situation. So we inevitably develop tensions within the mind, and we become agitated, sometimes anxious. And at the end of the day, we retire and we go back to home. We go back home, and then we start like watching TV or just turn on your cell phone, start swiping through like websites or videos, and we think the brain start like it's rest mode, but actually the brain, there's another area of the brain called DMN, which is called default mode network. It will become activated, and you start processing all these dreams, fantasies. Like there's no sequential thoughts, and the mind will be like haunted by worries and distress. And finally, we call it a day and retire to bed. But with not for long, we start dreaming. Like all these things happen in the morning, all this fantasy we have during the evening, and then all these plans we have for tomorrow. So they stop coming up in our mind. So there's not a single moment that the brain is completely like inactive. It's like 24-hour active. Just different region of the brain will become active, like in different periods of time. So I think we can come back to visit all these typical state of mind that we're familiar with. First of all, it's a work mode. So brain is very focused, but it's restless. So the mind is full of tension and anxiety. And the second mode is we call a rest mode. The brain is very relaxed, but it wanders to different dreams and worries, and sometimes we experience distress. And the third mode is sleep mode. So the brain alternates in between the deep sleep mode, and the REM sleep. So the mind becomes null and numb. And so I want to take a moment to reflect. Like, is there any other state of mind that you have experienced in your life that the mind is free from worry, free from anxiety, and you can finally experience harmony or peace within the mind? So I'll come back to this question later. Okay, so in recent scientific researches, the neuroscientists have discovered different frequencies of the brain. First of all, is a beta wave. We have this beta wave when we are awake and the mind is very alert and attentive. And then when we start resting and we are physically and mentally relaxed, and we can experience this alpha wave. The alpha wave become prominent. So it's a lower frequency than the beta wave. If we go deeper, slower, we enter the deep sleep mode, and then we have this delta wave. So when we are in the deep sleep mode, and there's a middle between delta and alpha, we call it theta. And theta is when we have reduced consciousness. Some people have this theta wave when they are in deep meditation mode, or sometimes when we dreams, or in REM sleep, we have this theta wave. And last but not least, it's a gamma wave. It's the fastest brain wave that we have observed. So when we have highlighted perceptions, some people, when they practice like loving kindness meditation, when they practice vipassana type of meditation, they're observing like in a very subtle, in a deep level, so we can see these gamma waves. So we take all these different waves, and then we start studying like how different like the brainwave will become for different people, like for experienced meditators, or for novice. So what kind of brainwave they exhibit like when they do practice meditation. And I want to show you what we found. So we use this called EEG sensing headset. We're able to detect a wide range of electrical activities within the brain. And then we are able to translate them into some meaningful key performance indicators. And then we have collaborate with a UI designer to come up with this easy to read graphs to help like people with no scientific background to understand how the state of mind changes over time. Okay, the first performance indicator we call a calmness level. So we can see this calmness level, it becomes like when we experience peace and harmony, you can see the graph become flat. So when we become agitated, the mind is full of worries. You see the graph becomes very steep. So this is the first performance indicator we use to analyze the state of meditation. And the second performance indicator is awareness. So we use this indicator to observe how the mind is like concentrated or how the mind is being distracted by the outside events. So as you can see, if the mind is very distracted, there's no focus. The graph becomes very shallow, very flat. And then when the mind is very focused and alert, you can see that the graph will become higher and then it becomes steep. So using these two performance indicators, let's go back to revisit the different like state of mind that we discussed. The first work mode. So as you can see, the person, there's very less peace, very less harmony in the mind. So you can see the calmness is low because the mind is restless. But at the same time, the awareness can be very high because the mind is very focused on the current subject. So that's the first type of mind. We use brainwave these graphs to interpret this work mode. And the second mode is rest mode. So as you can see, the calmness level becomes very high. But as you can see, the awareness level drops from 80 something to 60 something because now there's no attention. We lose our attention and the mind is very scattered and there's a lot of thoughts. So that's a second mode that we use the brain activity pattern to interpret. And the third mode, sleep mode. So you see there's the mind is out of control. Sometimes it's calm, sometimes it's not. Because sometimes we have nightmares, we have different dreams. But the awareness will drop below like 40 because the mind is fully unconscious. It loses the body sensations. It's just fully in a deep sleep. And I want to introduce you the state of mindfulness, how we interpret the state of mindfulness using the scientific these indicators that we developed. So let's take a look at the meaning of the mindfulness. It's actually from the ancient tradition of meditation. It was first introduced by the Lord Buddha more than 2,500 years ago. And then it's translated from the ancient word Pali called sati, which carries many meanings, such as a quality of a state of being conscious and aware of something that's going on. And the state of mind achieved by focusing one's awareness on a present moment on some object, while you can calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations without like judgments. So there are so many meanings. So let's simplify into the modern language. In other words, that when the person has calm and quiet in the mind, while the mind is being active and very attentive from moment to moment. So without being mindful, the brain often jumps in between two extremities, from excessively active to overly idle. As a result, we suffer from overly excitement, pressure, and agitation, to boredom, sadness, and depression. So we use these two performance indicators to observe people when they are practicing mindfulness meditation. So as you can see on the left, the calmness is very high. There's actually very subtle like brain activities going on at the same time. But meanwhile, the awareness can become very high. So it's achieved by practicing. Some people practice anapana meditation, which is the respiration observation, and some people practice vipassana, which is observe the sensation in the body, and some people they practice metta bhavana, which is the meditation of mindful metta loving kindness. So when we practice this type of meditations, there's a calmness and awareness will be both of them become very high. So at the same time, we have this sense of peace, joy, and happiness in the mind. So the calm. So when we are calm and aware, so we can have this creativity and efficiencies in the long run. So we developed this app, which aims to help people to discover their inner awareness from a new perspective. So normally we experience the peace of mind from the first person perspective, but now we have a gadget, we have a tool to observe, to gain insight into the mind via the real-time brain activity monitoring and long-term tracking. So as you can see, if you are practicing meditation and then you're at the same time you're detecting the brain activities, you can see in the real time how the mind changes from on the calmness level and on awareness level. And you can record different moments of time in the day to see how these two indicators changes over time. Okay, so the main features of the app offers you to monitor the brain activities with the neural feedback. So we incorporate the audio and visual feedback. So in real time, you can see how the mind is behaving. Like if the mind is very calm, you can hear the bird chirping. But when the mind becomes distressed and full of thoughts, and you will see a lightning sound, a thunder sound. So, and then we have this detailed statistic analysis of the brain activities. So you're like your own scientist, your own researchers of your own mind. And we develop these two night mental states. So on the left, on the y-axis is awareness, and then on the x-axis is the calmness. So from the left, you can be a numpig to all the way to a peaceful lion, depending on the level of calmness and level of awareness. So I think sati, the awareness, is everywhere all the time. So in all type of activities, whether you are jogging, whether you are playing your instrument, whether you are cooking, you can practice mindfulness. And then with the brainwave activity, you can see like in different activities, you can have this experience of peace and harmony in the mind while you are very attentive and aware of the outside and inside. Okay. And our mission is that we believe that everybody will become like aware of the benefit of the mindfulness living, and more people will start learning the art of mindfulness living, and more biofeedback technologies and application will be developed to assist to help people to stay calm and aware. And if you can continue to practice like every morning and evening, so we actually rewire the brain in a positive way, and we elevate our consciousness. And I wish all of you can enjoy the benefit of mindful way of living. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your deliberation, sir. Our next spokesperson is Most Venerable Acharya Kinley Gyalsten. Most Venerable Kinley Gyalsten was born on 7th March 1977 in Trongsa, Bhutan. His formal education began in 1984 when he joined a school in Paro, Bhutan. He attended the school till 1994. Guided by Most Venerable Khenpo Lobsang, he renounced the materialistic life and chose to become a monk. In 1995, he joined the Central University of Tibetan Studies Sarnath, Varanasi, India. For the next 9 years, he was engaged in the study of Buddhist philosophy. In 2000, Acharya was appointed as the secretary of the Kagyu Committee at the Central University of Tibetan Studies. In 1997, he was helping the people of Gujarat in earthquake hit areas. In 2000, he completed his Shastri alongside learning Indian classical music. He was actively involved in translating numerous works during the exchange program between the University of Massachusetts, Tasmania University, Australia, and Central University of Tibetan Studies, India. In addition to this, he was also doing a comparative study between Buddhism and Western idealism. In 2012, he carried out the project Go Green and Go Organic in the Himalaya regions in collaboration with the Mountain Partnership United Nations. Acharya ji is a polyglot. He knows the following languages: Tibetan, Hindi, English, Jonka, Sanskrit, Pali. He is the author of various books on Buddhism, meaning of Mani Mantra, meaning of Tara Mantra, etc. Now, I request Acharya ji to deliver his lecture.
Avakkacinta vilapanam. Pragyaparamira. Can you hear me? Is it?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. And so, thank you for everybody who is joining here today on this program. I'm very happy to be the part of this project and program on the Buddhism's and talk with the peace and happiness and whatever it is. So thank you so much for being the part of it and welcoming me, inviting me for this one. So today I would like to talk about how, as a human being, we need to be a happy life. Actually, all the problems are because of the result of not knowing what exactly it is, and all the suffering comes because of that. And each and every sentient beings, everybody wants happiness. Nobody wishes to be suffer. And if you look at it, so not even the human being, but even with sentient beings, they try to strive. They strive for the peace and happiness. The pursuit for peace and happiness, they will do that. And all the human beings, again, if you look at it, whether it is a engineer, whether it is a like kind of artist, whether it is a philosopher, whether it is a student, or whoever it is, they are trying to find a peace and happiness for themselves, and they are working on it. But after all the ways and means of striving for the pursuit of happiness, what they get is they get suffering, they get problem. Then see, now this means their pursuit of happiness or their way of engagement towards the peace, something is missing. Seriously there's some mistakes in it, so we need to correct it. So like, for example, we see the scientists are also trying to bring the happiness, try to create some happiness for the people around the world. But what happened in the very process, what happened is we get problems, not peace. and we end up in the, you know, the complication. So why is that we have all these complications? And in the very first step or first question is that we have never asked our basic natural human aspect of happiness, where it comes from, and where one could able to get that happiness. So this is the main issue for why we are having all the problems. And see, now it is 21st century now, and we have been, highly, you know high tech. Now we have been highly, all this, invention. What are the purpose of all this highly invented technology? Try to bring peace and happiness for the sentient beings, for the people, but still we don't have it. And now see, in the Western world, they try to do many things. Psychology, they bring up the psychology, they bring up the many different methods and devices, try to prove how we can get the peace and happiness for the human being. But today, I would like to tell you is that it is all an enormous amount of work and enormous amount of, what do you say, the energy to be spent, and finally we don't get any peace and happiness, but rather we have all the data, all the, you can say, information, but we don't get the peace and happiness. So that means we are missing the way. So now, right now, today I would like to talk to you that from the Buddhist perspective, sometimes people are saying Buddhism is a religion, it's nothing to do with the, peace and happiness, we have to do the peace and happiness. But the Buddhist has its own like incredible way to pursue the peace and happiness, and which has been worked for thousands of years. Even the Buddha rely on this way, and Buddha become the enlightened and peaceful person. And if we follow the same track, if you follow the same method, then the same would happen to all of us. Each and everybody can have the same result. We're not having the same result, but because we're not following the same path, we're not following the same way. This is the issue. So today, for example, some of the people, they come up the idea with the brain waves and the brain ideas and concept and everything. But after all, I would like to sum up how our human being is actually made up of how many factors. There are 5 factors. First is the form, then the feelings, then the perception, conception, and consciousness. These 5 things. And see, the form is the basis for all these sort of feelings. Because of our form, the feelings comes about. These two, we cannot avoid it, because we are going to face, either we are going to face it, we need to have to face it, because we have a body. And if there's body, the feeling would inevitably come to us, whether it's good, bad, or whatever. The feeling is there. But see, now the feelings, when we talk about the feelings, there are 3 kind of feelings. Feeling of good and bad. And what happens is, when you have good feelings, bad feelings, then we have a perception. We try to create. That's the third factors. As I've said, form and feeling, then perceptions. Then there comes perceptions comes about. So what happens is, during the perceptions, we have a good perception and bad perception, good feelings, bad feelings. Then it gives rise to the good perception and bad perception. So then we concept it. And this is the process how one get involved into the problem, and how one we get in free from the suffering. So here is the the platform that one could perform, that how one could overcome. If you don't do this one and just looking at the data or how the brain waves works, it will not help out. So it is so subtle. Even when we are looking at the brain waves or something like that, you're just looking at the third person knowledge, not having the first person knowledge. So see, when you are looking here, even if there's bad thing comings, you just watch it. You need an awareness. Sometimes people are saying awareness and concentration are same. Now these are two different things. Awareness means you know something is happening within you. Or concentration means you are concentrated here, but you don't know what is happening. But your mind is focused, but you don't know, you don't aware on what your mind is focused. So these things plays a very important role in our day-to-day life happiness, because you cannot avoid the unpleasant feelings. You cannot avoid the pleasant feelings. Both our feelings come about because of our form, our body. And in these perceptions, when the third perception comes, that when the bad feelings comes, one should not go after it, or one should not try to react and avoid or refrain from this. But what happens is one keeps silence and just look at it. So here it is known as the vipassana. So there is an enormous amount of possibility here. So once you look at it with an awareness, what happens is these problems, we usually try to cling to it, clinging to the pleasant feelings, cannot rise because it doesn't get the support from our habitual tendencies. Then what happens is naturally it gets collapsed. And in the other way around, when we feel detached, try to, feel disgust for dislike, then what happens is there is a feeling comes about, try to avoid that. And in the very process, you provide, you generate the hatred. So either way, we get collapse here. So this is what exactly happens. This is the trick, that what we get into the trap. Whether it's, if there are pleasant things happens, you are in the trap. Even the unpleasant thing happens, you're in the trap. Now both way, you're in the trap. So now we have to know that in this kind of situation, what is needed. Now the very important is to have the mindfulness is here. So in this kind of platform, in this kind of point, it is an opportunity that one should awaken there. So Buddha is also known as awaken. Because of this, he awake in this kind of system. He was awakened in this kind of platform. Then what happened is he's not try to refrain from the bad pleasant moment, and he's not trying to support the pleasant moment. But in the very process, what happened is all these pleasant and unpleasant perceptions, then the collapse. If the pleasant and unpleasant perception collapse, then the conception cannot come about, which is also known as, in the Sanskrit, it's known as sanskar. Sanskar means the residual impact, which can give a residual effect to its later. And this residue, the seed of that, can be stored into our mind stream. That's why we have a form, feeling, perception, conception, and thereafter, when we concept it, this is known as sanskar, means we try to react, residual impact is then stored in our mind stream. That's the last one. So what happens is once it is stored in our mind stream, then it is bound to give its results. It's consequences. So therefore, what happens is when it gives the result, then the problem comes about. So for the human beings or sentient beings in our mind stream, there would be thousands and millions of minds, the residue impact, the actions we accumulated, then the residue has been, the imprint has to be stored in our mind stream. Then what happened in next time or later part of our life or in the next life, it will give rise to another the form, then again the feeling, then again the perceptions, then again the concept, and again it will restore it into our mind stream. This is how it's known as the cyclical process of the suffering or the cyclical existence of the samsara. So this is how we need to know about all this kind of what do you say, the 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 fact that how one get involved into the problem, and how one should get free from the problems. So see, now the mind thing, when you see about the waves now these days, because of the high tech, we have come out with the vega waves, and waves, mega waves, or whatever, the brain waves. Or people are just exploring in the waves, but somehow, if you don't go into the first person knowledge, that means I'm asking, what I'm saying is, like, we need to go to the meditation, we need to go to the awareness level, not just the talking. But by talking is something like that, for example, if you are trying to make a kind of good food, you know how to make good food, then you write a book about it, but you have never eaten the book, eaten the food, but you have transferred this food, this manual of making food, good food, to some people, and this one transferred to some people. This is what happened exactly in our day-to-day life. Therefore, very important is, even if you are having a book, it's good. Even if you don't have a book, doesn't matter. But you have to eat the good food or delicious food. Otherwise, you cannot enjoy. You cannot enjoy, and you would never have eaten the food. And it's something like that. So what I mean is here is that, so these are the inner journey, kind of intelligence, uh, like, it's a inward journey, and it's not the external, journey. Therefore, we have to focus within oneself. For example, if we are aware and if we were alert and aware of what we are doing, for example, if I'm going to commit a mistake, or if I make mistakes, doesn't matter. Just feel aware this is mistake. And in the very awareness, what happened is it collapses. It melts down. The iceberg of what do you say, the strong sense of holding and clinging to things. This is good, this is bad. And what happened is, usually when we see the good things, we are pleased, we are appeal for that, then we try to support for that. And this is the same mistakes as you're doing to these unpleasant feelings. As I've said, the both are the same trap. So therefore, we should not give way to both of them. We should just look at it, let them happen of it, whatever they happens. But with the awareness, if you awaken or if you are aware, then there's no possible of mistakes. Just imagine if that is possible. With the awareness, is it possible to make a mistake? Not possible at all. With the awareness, if the awareness is there, then all these mistakes are not possible. Why? Because you are aware that you are awakened. It's something like that. you're doing something in the sleep or in the dream, then you're bound to make mistake, because you're doing something in the darkness, you're bound to make mistake. But if you're awakened or if you're in the light, then you see clarity, you see the clear things and events, what is actually happening. So then, therefore, no mistake at all, because you see the thing, clarity is there, you're seeing the things and events properly, what it actually happens, you know what it is. So therefore, there's no problem. So now the question here is that if you know, if you are aware of what you're doing, then there's no problem. If you're not aware of what you're doing, doesn't matter. You're an engineer, you're a scientist, or you're whatever ever. So it doesn't make any sense. You're bound to make mistakes. So therefore, so what I'm trying to say is, in one way, the Buddha's idea is very simple, and one way it is very complicated, and it depends upon whether you know it or not. If you know how to do it, this is very simple. If you don't know how to do it, then it's very complicated. Then you can go on into the conception, concept into conceptuality. Then you can make a many like kind of concept, and it has to be like this. Then the problem arises. So therefore, see now the Buddha method, especially when we talk about the vipassana, it is, some people are saying it's 2,500 years, but I would say this is million years. Why? Because past Buddha has also used this, and this has been used by the present Buddha, and it would be used by the future Buddha, and it can be used by each and every sentient being. Is same. And why is it that I'm saying the same? Means that it is the nature of reality. It is the nature of the universal causality and universal law. So therefore, for the Buddha and us is the same. If you go through the same way, you would reach there to the same point. So therefore, what Buddha said is, it's an inner journey. If you practice it in this way, then you'd reach there. Otherwise, then Buddha has already spoken and given this kind of clarity. And again, here we are creating all this kind of some new kind of ways and all these things. Then I think it may help someone, but in some ways, but I don't think that is the ultimate solution. So for the ultimate solution, we need to get along inward and try to figure out who we are and who oneself is. And once you aware that who you are and what we are doing, all these things, then naturally it will dissolve all the problems. All the solutions comes up of zone. Otherwise, we become so strict together, oneself, and all this kind of concept, and we are only making the residue impact, and we store this one on our mind stream, and that's how subtle it is. We cannot see the mind, consciousness, and the samsara. So why? Because the sanskara is actually the samsara. So what happens is, see, form and feeling, we can actually feel about it. These are the gross level, form, feeling. So form is only the one part among these five factors. But when you come to the feelings, then it's already on the mental level. So actually, that's why the Buddha said the problem or suffering is not physical, it's mental, because it's kind of feelings that. So right on the basis of form, you have the feelings. Then with the feelings, you have perceptions of good and bad. And with the perception of good and bad, you have conceptions of good and bad. And you have a conception of good and bad. With this kind of sanskara, you can restore the seed in our mind stream. So that's how we suffer again and again in this the cycle of life and whatever the problem it comes. So like see, the form is grosser level, then the feeling is a little bit subtle, then the perception is little subtler than that, then the sanskara is little subtler than that, then the consciousness even more subtle. When it goes down deep one by one, then it goes subtler to subtler to subtler. So actually I would like to give you like a book, but I can try to relate you. I can give you the example like this. So first comes form, then comes feelings, then comes perceptions, then comes conceptions, then comes the consciousness. So consciousness, perception, conception, these three, we really need to be aware and alert or awaken in these three later parts of these factors. Why? Because it goes subtler deep down, subtler to subtlers. So that's why when you go down from the feelings to the perceptions, then we are already dreaming, or we are already in a like a dim light, we are drowning down. So we couldn't aware that. And when you come to the residual impact, that is the sanskara or the conceptions, then it's even more subtler. We don't know what happens there, so we get lost there. And it has been stored in your mind stream, then even that time also you don't aware. So these three is completely blinded when we are talking about. We get blinded in these three: perception, the conception, and reason. So therefore, so form is there, feeling comes about, then perception. So here is where you get striking. We need to strike that. Strike means in the sense you have to be alert and aware, awaken yourself, and see, oh, this is coming. Oh, now the happiness is coming. You're not attaching to it, you're not avoiding it, you are just looking at it and later it happens. But at the same time, with the awareness. And if something is happening, bad things coming or bad feelings, then you're not trying to avoid it or you're not trying to confront it. But at the same time, let it happen, but you are with the awareness, you're not supporting it. And the very process, what happens is both this kind of the residual impact, which is the sanskar, has no basis at all. Without the support, it cannot stand up there. Then it naturally collapses. If it's naturally collapsed, then there's no storage on a mind stream. If there's no storage in the mind stream, then what happens is once we have already accumulated, sprout out, and goes finish, and it is exhausted, and it doesn't store there as a sanskara, then what happens? Slowly, gradually, what happens is it purifies our mind. Our minds get clear from these garbages. This thing, I take it as a garbage. What happens when you take a lot of garbages? See, just imagine how unhappy, uneasy we are to take all these unnecessary garbages. This is how heavy we are carrying that. So now here, what I mean is we have to throw out all these garbages. We have to clean our mind stream, the consciousness. We need to clean up all this. We have good thoughts coming. Okay, you don't attach to it, but at the same time, you don't detach, but look at it, just be aware. And in the same way, there's, bad habits comes, you just don't try to avoid it, don't try to refrain from it, just look at it, just try to understand it, it will collapse up soon. So this awareness can be done anywhere, everywhere, anytime. You're sleeping, you're eating, you're drinking, or you're walking, or whatever you do. So this way, this is the secret how we can try to free ourselves from the samsara or the cyclical existence or the problems or whatever. And I will not take too much time because other scholar has to speak on it. But this is my kind of how to be free ourselves. Our mind has been already, what you say, congested and twisted with all this kind of thoughts and all this kind of nonsense, because day to day life now, it has been so much, it's too much now in this world, all this concept into conceptions, and then you go on making your own picture, which is not really the truth. Then you make built up the whole kind of all this kind of, what do you say, the big concrete wall or concrete idea, and we are carrying this. So what I'm trying to say is, we need to dissolve this all this concrete idea, which are nonsense. We need to dissolve all this kind of garbages. Try to make clean from our mind stream. So if your mind stream is clean, then doesn't matter the body. It's something like that. One example I would like to say is that, like, once there is a mother, and he asks his son to take care of the flower. So she has given one flower pot to him. In the flower pot, there's one flower tree plant, and the son doesn't know how to take care. But what he did was, he washed the flower and the leaves, but never poured water to the root. But once when the mother come back, what happened is the flower died. Then mother asked him, "Why didn't you care my flower?" And he said, "I did care. I took care of it, but it died." But the point is that he doesn't know how to take care. He has to give the water to the roots and the fertilizer to the roots, not to the leaves and washing the leaves or cleaning the washing of just by caring like this. So with this word, in the end, I would like to add here, maybe it would help all my friends and people who joined here. With this word, I'm ending here. Bhavatu Sabba Mangalam. May all the wishes and aspirations of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas be accomplished. Bhavatu Sarva Mangalam. Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
your deliberation, Acharya ji. Thank you. Our next spokesperson is Mr. Yogesh Kumar. Yogesh Kumar is an Indian Administrative Service Officer. He is presently the Additional Commissioner of the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act in Uttar Pradesh, India. Previously, he was posted as District Magistrate of Banda and Amethi districts. His areas of interest include education, employment, skill development, social security, and natural resources management. He has completed his MA and MPhil from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi. I would like to invite Sir to deliver his lecture. Please, sir.
Thank you very much, Shubharti University, for inviting me and fellow colleagues, speakers before me. I really enjoyed the lecture and the contents provided by you. This is the first time I'm interacting with this kind of august audience who are specializing in the area of Buddhism and talking about mindfulness. I have been a person for last more than a decade who is involved into implementing schemes, doing government businesses, and operating with the people on a practical basis. So I'll say this is a completely a new area for me, but I'm excited and I'm enriched by listening to my previous two speakers. I shall try to give my understanding of mindfulness as I could understand it by reading some literature and try to add a few other studies which I have read recently and which relate to the leadership, excellence, involvement, and removal of distraction and disconnect. So mindfulness, to my understanding, is do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment. There are three pillars of mindfulness: focused attention, open awareness, and kind intention. Always be mindful of kindness, not the fault of others. There are seven keys attitude of mindfulness. First is non-judging. Be an impartial witness to your own experience. Patience, a form of wisdom. Patience demonstrate that we accept the fact that the things sometime unfold in their own time. Allow for this. A beginner's mind, remaining open to curious, allows us to be receptive to new possibilities and prevents us from getting stuck in the rut of our own expertise. Fourth, trust. Develop a basic trust with yourself and your feelings. Know it is okay to make mistakes. Non striving. The goal is to be with yourself right here, right now. Pay attention to what is unfolding without trying to change anything. Acceptance. See the things as they are and letting go. When we pay attention to our inner experience, we discover there are certain thoughts, emotions, situations, and mind want to hold on to. Let your experience be what it is right now. So, if a problem can be solved, why to worry? And if a problem can't be solved, then what to worry? Worrying will do nothing good to you. Mindfulness is simply being aware of what is happening right now without wishing it, without wishing it were different. Enjoying the present without holding on when it changes, which it will. Being with the unpresent without fearing it will always be this way, which it won't. Once Buddha was asked, what have you gained from meditation? Buddha replied, nothing. But later, Buddha said, let me tell you what I have lost. I have lost my anger, anxiety, depression, insecurity, fear of being old, and death. Quiet your mind, and your soul will speak. When man knows the solitude of silence and finds the joy of quietness, he becomes free from fear and finds the joy of dharma. On life's journey, faith is nourishment, virtuous deeds are a shelter, wisdom is the light by day, and right mindfulness is the protection by night. If a man lives a pure life, nothing can destroy him. So don't rush for anything. When the time is right, it will happen. You will lose what you cling to. Our worst enemies can't harm us as much as our own thoughts. No one can help us as much as our own compassionate thoughts. At the end of the day, I am at peace because my intentions are good and my heart is pure. Happiness will never come to those who fail to appreciate what they already have. Mindfulness of the body leads to nirvana. So don't dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate mind on the present moment. To heal a wound, you need to stop touching it. If you can't, if you can stay positive in a negative situation, you finally happen to win it. Buddha said, Buddha said nothing on the existence of God. Instead, he remained silent because he did not get anything out of his deep meditations. Mindfulness is not difficult. We just have to remember it and practice it. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. Mind is everything. What we think, we become. So, give, even if you have only a little. There is no path to happiness. Happiness itself is the path. All sufferings are caused by ignorance. People inflict pain on others in selfish pursuit of their own happiness and satisfaction. If your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. Peace comes from within. Do not seek without. Open your mind before you open your mouth. If you wish to, if you wish, if with a pure mind a person speaks or acts, happiness follows them like never departing shadow. Three things cannot be hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth. If you are facing in the right direction, it is all you need is to walk on without stopping. Every experience, no matter how bad it seems, holds within it a blessing of some kind. Our goal is to find out. A mindful and creative child who has neither experienced a past nor an example to follow, nor value judgments, simply lives, speaks, and plays in freedom. The only real failure in life is not to be true to the best one you know and seen in yourself. At the end, only three things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, how gracefully you let go the things not meant for you. Protection from distraction is precisely how we need to work if we are serious about dominating our field and winning at our craft. Neuroscientists call it a peak mental state where our perception become heightened and our availability to original ideas rises, and thus we access an all new level of processing power called flow. The beginning of transformation is the increase of perception. As you see more, you can materialize more, and once you know better, you can achieve bigger. The great women and men of this world, the one responsible for magical symphonies, beautiful movements, advancement of science, and progress of technology, is started by re engineering their thinking and reinventing their awareness. In doing so, they entered a secret universe that the majority could not perceive, and in turn, they allowed themselves to make daily choices if few choose to make, and which automatically delivered the daily results if you get to experience. Consistency is the DNA of mastery. There is tons of competition at ordinary, but there is no competition at extraordinary. Great companies and amazing lives don't happen by a sudden revolution. They materialize this by incremental evolution. So, mindfulness, patience, and focus in the game is extremely important. There is one broken focus syndrome. This broken focus syndrome is caused by multiple electronic gadgets, often interruptions, and incessant cyber noise. Broken focus is the biggest culprit behind our failure to achieve excellence and become extraordinary. Broken focus also destroys mindfulness. You live, there is a philosopher, a Stoic philosopher called Seneca, who has written on the shortness of life. His lines are: you live as if you were destined to live forever. No thought of your frailty ever enters your head. Of how much time has already you have wasted takes no heed. You squander time as if you drew from a full and abundant supply. Though all the while, the day which you bestow on some person or thing is perhaps your last. So utilize untapped potential. Do not waste precious time. Be grateful for every moment. Don't be timid when it comes to your ambition. Stop wasting time on insanely trivial things and make it a priority to reclaim the creativity, fire, potential that is dormant within you. It is so a blunder not to do so. Why do you think Plato encouraged us to know thyself? He understood intimately that we have vast reservoir of ability and absolutely must be accessed and then applied in order for us to lead energetic, joyful, peaceful, and meaningful lives. To neglect this hidden force inside us is to create a breeding ground for the pains of potential unused, the frustration of fearlessness unembraced, and the lethargy of mastery unexplored. Importance of self perception in excelling. If you are running a mental narrative that says you don't have what it takes to be superb leader in business or an acclaimed expert of your craft, then you won't even start the adventure of getting there. World class is a process, not an event. Running a limited psychological program that says everyday people can't become great or genius is born, not developed, will cause you think it would be a complete waste of time to do the studying. Put in practice of hours and prioritize your day around your heartfelt desire. What would be the point of investing all that labor, vigor, and time, making all those sacrifices when virtuoso level results are impossible for someone like you under your belief system? And then, because your daily behavior is always a function of your deepest belief, that very perception of your inability to realize victory becomes real. Human beings are hardwired to act in alignment with their self identity. You will never rise higher than your personal story. What makes a legendary performer or icon so good isn't the amount of natural talent they are born with, but the extent of potential they actualize, capitalize by exceptional dedication and unfettered commitment. Every time you resist a temptation and pursue an optimization of your skill or dream, you invigorate your heroism. So, it is not the size of dog in fight, but the size of fight in dog. Always find out time for myself, for yourself, because this time is only opportunity to self ameliorate yourself. Your escalation requires your isolation. French philosopher Albert Camus said the only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. Real leaders never compromise their standards. They focus on the areas where to improve. They do not allow influence of mediocrity to eclipse their sovereign focus on achieving the best. Alexander the Great said, I am not afraid of the army of lion led by a sheep, but I am afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion. So, no one will believe in our greatness until we believe it ourselves. Pablo Picasso once said, my mother once said to me, Picasso, if you are a soldier, you will become a general. If you are a monk, you will become a pope. Instead, I was a painter, so I became Picasso. The great ones devote whole strength to create one piece of art, a genuine masterpiece that endures for generations. Hours that 95% of the people waste, top 5% treasure them for their excellence, expertise, invention, and innovation. The preeminent psychologist Andres Erickson of Florida State University said, invest at least 2 hours 45 minutes practice every day for 10 years to appear the first sign of genius. At least 10,000 hours of training is needed to start a journey towards geniusness. Spartan war credo reads, sweat more in practice, bleed less in war. Your fortune will always follow your fearlessness. External, always expresses internal. Your creativity, productivity, prosperity, performance, and impact on the planet are always a sublime expression of what is going on inside you. If you don't feel you deserve abundance, you will never realize it. You can't realize the domain dominance if your drive is to capitalize on your genius is weak, fire to train is dim, and stamina to optimize is low. So, my dear friends, these are the inputs from my side regarding the mindfulness and the areas of expertise and excellence. These days, there is a crisis of attention, which is caused by largely the distractions and disconnect. Distractions are generally they start at the outset of the day when we get up in the morning and we start looking into our mobiles, like checking our emails, checking our messages, checking various kind of notification. And these minor distractions generally lose our attention on our goal of excellence. There are researches in which it was said that great inventors and philosophers and innovators of the world they used to wear a single color of clothes. They never used to wear a different color of clothes. This was in order to save their attention, in order to make tiny decisions every day in the morning, what to wear and what not to wear, in order to save their energy in making decisions. They generally opted for a same color of clothes. This was a pursuit for excellence or expertise into a direction of their profession. And what generally, commonly people do, they make a lot of choices, lot of decisions in the day, since morning till night. There are a story of Apple inventor, Mr. Steve Jobs. After resigning from Apple, he founded a company called Next. And the Next company's headquarter was of white color. Then some of the journalists they asked the inventor, Mr. Jobs, why the company's headquarters is of a white color. What he replied, he said, yes, I can of course make it beautiful. I can of course make it very, very rich in content in terms of interior designing. But I know whoever researchers will come here, their attention will be diverted to the kind of thing which I will put here. And I want to make it very, very plain, very simple, very like fundamental and down to earth, so that the researchers, the excellence on which they are focused, they should be able to focus. So things which are plain, which are simple, and mindfulness, which is away from distractions, deviation, disconnect, that lead to excellence. And right now, as Mr. Nayan Murthy, 3 days back, during one of his address of Infosys awards to 6 persons in India, he very emphatically related that India is not able to produce the kind of researches, kind of inventions, innovations, and discoveries as it is expected to, as the kind of institutions of excellence as we possess. Nowhere, no country in the world possesses those kind of institution of excellence. But because of a lot of distractions, lot of deviations, lot of lack of involvement, we are not able to produce those kind of results and discovery. So our effort of as a organized society, as a society, egalitarian society, we need to make our experts and our inventors focus fully on the work they are doing. Make teachers, engineers, doctors, surgeons fully, completely dedicate their energy, their attention to their actual work. And this will only happen while the distractions are removed and mindfulness is infused. So, friends, from my side, it is this much. We are trying our level best, being in government, that we produce some excellent results and we give the real service to the nation and to the citizen of the country. Thank you all.
Thank you for your deliberation, sir. Our next spokesperson is Honorable Vice Chancellor Major General Dr. G.K. Thaplial, sir. Major General Dr. G.K. Thaplyal has over 40 years of experience in the armed forces and higher education. He has been conferred with various prestigious awards such as the Sena Medal by the President of India, Commendation Award by GOC Southern and Western Command, Lifetime Achievement Award by the Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons of India. He has been the head of maxillofacial team at UN Peacekeeping Mission Hospital in Cambodia, head of biomedical research team at Institute of Nuclear Medicine and Allied Sciences DRDO Delhi, professor and head maxillofacial wing at Armed Forces Medical College Pune, Army Dental Care, Research and Referral Delegate, and many private institutions. I would like to invite Honorable Sir for the closing remarks.
Thank you very much. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Jai Hind, everybody, and very good morning to you all. At the outset, I extend a warm welcome and thank profusely the speaker of the day, Brother Hsiao, who is the founder of Bhavana in Taiwan, and Sri Yogesh Kumar ji, who is the Additional Commissioner, Manrega, Government of Uttar Pradesh, and Sri Acharya Khampo Khanke. And I also thank the Buddhist Department of Swami Vivekananda Subharati University for organizing this wonderful online lecturate series on a wonderful subject, that is the mindfulness. I was patiently hearing everybody, and I thank you all for delivering such a wonderful, enlightening, and educative and informative lecture. Just now, Sri Yogesh Kumar ji mentioned about the mindfulness, and before that, Acharya Khampo ji mentioned about the mindfulness. I don't have to add anything into that, but I'll just say a few things in the context of the students of today's. For the young mind, it's very difficult to concentrate, very difficult to focus, and very, very difficult to dream about the future. And also, it is very difficult to forget the past. The carry home message from all these lectures was, don't think about the past, don't dream in the future, live in the present. But how to do that? How to actually practically do that, to live in the present? And for that, the best solution is the mindfulness, the meditation. One thing I would like to tell you, everything, anything, whatever happens in this world or whatever the person does, it starts as a thought in the mind. And that thought ultimately turns into action. And that action ultimately becomes the habit. And that habit becomes the destiny. So we know that actually the root lies in the mind in the form of thought. So how to focus your thought in the particular area which actually you desire. And based on that, it has been said that whatever you desire, whatever you think, you become so. But still, we desire something, but we think in different line. So that therefore there is a gap between what we are thinking and what we desire. And because of this gap, the kind of a frustration, the kind of a restlessness which appears in the human mind, and person do not progress. So for this is the best thing that you need to concentrate on one thing. Whatever the meditation technique you follow in different way, there are so many techniques. Somebody they focus on the breathing, somebody they focus on the eyebrows, and somebody focus on the heart. So these are the different areas, but one thing is common, that you only think about the love. You think about the divine. You think about the some one focus thing, and that is divine. Because today's, if we are not happy, if we are restless, or we are unhappy, the reason is that there is a lack of love. So we have to pour love in our heart in order to release all those negative energy which we have acquired during our lifetime. Pouring love happens only when you think, and you only think about the divine love. Because the divine love is the divine is another form of the love. So you have to think about every person who is the part of the divine. The divine is in me, divine is in you. You and me are same. So everybody comes from the same divine. So we all are same. We are divided into many countries, but actually we are the same. So whole country, whole earth is one family. If that concept comes into each and every mind, there will be no problems, there will be no wars, there will be nothing. Everybody will live in harmony and peace. So creating peace in our mind, individual mind, is very, very important to create peace in the world. We cannot create peace by acquiring weapons, by fighting. That will create more chaos. So in order to achieve peace, tranquility, and harmony in the whole world, first we'll have to look into ourselves. The individual has to change. Individual will have to transform. And that changing process will begin from one individual. And then only we can change the entire country, we can change the entire world. And this is the need of the hour today. We need to change, we need to transform at the individual level. So this topic and the speakers have really done a wonderful job by creating this into mind, everybody's mind, that we need where are we, in which direction we are going, and which direction actually we need to go. Why are we going in those directions? Because there are frictions, there are struggles, there are conflict going on in the mind. How to cool down your mind, how to tranquil your mind. Gautam Buddha has given a beautiful system of meditation, mindfulness. Meditate. We will get peace. Whole world will be peaceful. With those words, I thank you all. Thank you very much for enlightening us, all these speakers, and thank Dr. Hirohito and his team for organizing this wonderful lecture. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. I would like to request everyone to open their videos and request our technical team to add all. Okay. So, on behalf of the organizing committee of third guest lecture on Buddhism and Science, I would like to thank our honorable speakers, Most Honorable Khenpo Kinley Gyalsten ji, Mr. Yogesh Kumar ji, and our brother Alan from Taiwan. On short notice, everyone joined this lecture, and we had a great listening at the backstage. And today's lecture was very meaningful in terms of mindfulness, and I also able to learn a lot. And I would like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Major General Dr. J.K. Thapaliar, to allow us for organizing this lecture and preside over the session today. So now the floor is open. If anyone asks question to anyone, they can ask among the speakers. Is there any question from among the speakers?
Yeah. I want to ask Mr. Allen, because I like his presentation a lot, the kind of app they have developed. And it is going to be very useful, I know, for the users. Whether this app has been launched now and it is available somewhere to be downloaded and to be used by users at international level, or it is still in the stage of conception or development.
Yes, the app has been launched in App Store and
I hope my
in
question is
Google
clear.
Play. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
My question is clear.
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah, the
I
app
can
has
hear
been
you.
launched. Yes. So now I can download the app and then see what features it offers. But you have to get the brainwave device that we help promoting to Dr. Hero. So with this gadget, the aim is to understand mindfulness from a scientific perspective. But as all of you have just mentioned, mindfulness practice is the key. We have to keep practicing, but at the same time, it is good to have a guidance, it's like your own assistance, your own a reminder that we have to become mindful no matter where we are, what we do. So I think that's the purpose of the app. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to Mr. Kinley, so enlightened listening your comments and such elaborate perspective on mindfulness, perception, conception. What we are facing here, I interact with a lot of students, school students in UP and Lucknow, and I find parents are suffering because of their disconnect with their studies. They're not showing the students in UP or maybe in India. They're not showing interest in studies of science or anything which they consider to be difficult. There are a lot of distractions, screen alignment, a lot of screen time students are spending, and the focus concentration is lost. Can you please guide through Buddhism, through the theories or maybe practice of Buddhism, how can we help these students who are lacking in the focus and concentration?
This one, I think, because these days, because of the science and technology, the upliftment of the science and technology, we have many distractions. Actually, it's too extreme to say that science and technology has been distracted us. And some we are not, saying that science and technology is like in a kind of, we are not completely against the science and technology, but see, now as the science and technology advances, we are human beings. Usually we have been distracted towards for example, these days all the students are distracted by the mobiles, the 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 YouTubes and all these are in some ways it's good, but from these 99% are kind of like distracting and wasting the time and energy. And that's really true, because as a young people, what you feel is usually we are too much what do you say, the this too much attracted by these kind of illuminating things, like kind of the modern what do you say, the mobiles, and also all this modernization. But see, the student has to know that these are not the only thing. These are just for the temporary, upliftment or the development and all these things. So, for example, see now what happened is now parents are too much, actually afraid of their kids distracted. But these two are same, these two are same thing. It ends up to the same kind of same trap, because in other way around, the parents also trying to make the student focus on one thing, and in other way around, the students also focus in the other way around. They're doing the same thing actually. It doesn't matter. So the point is that whatever you do, we need a science and technology, we need all this kind of development, but at the same time, we need to follow the middle way. I think so. Middle way is the point here, key point here, middle way. See, now we cannot stay away from the, science and technology. It has been advanced too much, and now we need to live a life. We need a car. We need to ride. We need an aeroplane. Everything we need it. But up to which extent we need it? This is the point. And also, like, there's no point for the parents to suppress the kids because you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that. Then again, what happens is it creates a curiosity in the kids. The situation itself is like this, but at the same time, what we can do is like we can create like kind of, sometimes the talks about the integrity. Sometimes we can have a talk about the spirituality. Sometimes this spirituality and integrity and all this loving kindness and compassion. So most of the universities in this world, how many universities are there who talk about it? Only few universities, only few. So therefore, we are missing the core part of it. For example, see now, maybe like thousands of universities around the world, they don't talk about the mindfulness. They talk about how to make the technology. They talk about how to go to the moon. They talk about how to go under the water. They talk about how to make a missile. They talk about these are all destructive emotions coming up. So that means, see, just imagine, then the younger people are so much enthusiastic, so much temptation to see all these kind of things happening, but they're all their the opportunities, all their energies, all their time were directed in the wrong way. So these we need to accept that. These are also demerits we have. So now what I think is, first and foremost, we need to look ourselves. We are a human being. And see now what happened is, because of this, a lot of the youngsters are trying to attempt the suicide because they are so competitive. They are under stress. They are under pressure because they have all these kind of things. They have pressure from the parents. They have pressure from the universities. They have pressure of the workload. They have pressure from the societies and competition and so on. So these are the one we needed? No, we don't need that. These are not our pursuit of life. So what is our pursuit of life? To be happy, to live yourself fully and joyfully, and to let others live happily and joyfully. And we are human beings, we're at least human beings. We have opportunities. And see now, as a young people, they think they don't even respect as a human being, because they don't have the potentiality that they have within themselves. And that's why they feel themselves disrespect, looked down, and they feel stressed, and this is how becomes the the attempt of societal and all this comes because of the pressures. So in this kind of situation and condition, I think almost all the universities should have to give one subject for our inner growth, inner evolvement, because we as a human being has a full potential, because we all have a Buddha nature. Buddha had said that, we all have Buddha nature. If you thrive and if you strive for that, everybody can become Buddha. And we don't know that potentiality that we have. So therefore, in Buddhism, we have been saying a precious human life. Why precious? Because we have these opportunities. We have these capabilities. We have all this kind of energy. We can use that. We can utilize it for the, right direction with the right purpose and
Correct.
benefit for all sentient beings. Otherwise,
Yes.
we just do the same mistake. So this, I hope, I
So,
answer you.
no, this answer to a
Sorry,
great extent.
just a minute. I just would like to add one more point here. What Acharya ji said. Actually, what I think that nature of the human mind first we should understand, which is adhogami. Adhogami in Sanskrit and in English means downward tendency of the mind. If the human being is left or just open, they are given a complete freedom. So tendency of the mind, it will be downward. They will always think of breaking rules, finding some loopholes, doing something haywire. This is the human mind tendency. But when human mind gets connected with the heart, because the love there in the heart, and when every action is guided from the heart, that becomes the urdhvagami. Into the mind starts working upwards, and that upwards journey of the mind takes you upward, and then you become concentrated, you become focused, you start going upward in your journey of your life. So everything of mind should be controlled by heart, and heart should have love for all, love for divine, love for everybody. That's my thank you.
Thank you so much. This is indeed, sir, information which enriches me. And I'll tell the august audience and the gentry here, my colleagues, there are 5 blue zones in the world in which the inhabitants are living more than 100 years. They have the longest, they have the highest longevity in the world. These 5 zones, blue zones are Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Loma Linda, California, Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, and Ikaria, Greece. These 5 islands, they have the highest longevity, and the reason and secret behind the highest longevity is they live very simple life. They eat less. Sometimes they take drinks also once in a day. They eat fish at least thrice a week, and they do agriculture, especially horticulture and animal husbandry. No technology, no industry have reached to these islands, and their longevity is 90 plus to 100 plus. So we
And they may
have
not be
certain
speaking English.
such kind of that. So, sir, there are means you Shubharti is running a very big institution in which I've seen teachers, excellence of teachers translate into excellence of students. If teachers are weak on certain concepts, the student will themselves be weak in those concepts. So what exactly lies like in terms of education, or be in terms of learning, or in terms of technology, the responsibility of like infusing excellence solely lies with the teachers, not with the students. It is we who involve the students creatively, intelligently, and passionately, and we develop a good quality scientists and inventors. So my focus is not only the students, my focus are teachers as well. So this is from my side, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank you very
everyone.
much.
So,
Thank you.
with
Thank you
the
all.
patience
Thank you
in the
very
chair,
much.
I have to conclude this session. We will see you all next time, whether virtually or physically. Thanks a lot for joining us. I
Thank you.
request
Thank you very much.
for concluding chanting. For chanting before we close the session.
For chanting?
Yes.
Okay.
For it.
May all the sentient beings free from the suffering. May all the sentient beings have peace and happiness, and the causes of peace and happiness. May all the wishes of Buddhas, and aspirations of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas be accomplished. Bhavatu Sarva Mangalam. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. See you soon.